In 2018, it was an open seat contest. So Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp were more evenly matched. Today, Brian Kemp has had 4 years of experience being governor, and Stacey Abrams can't lay claim to that. Voters know what to expect from Kemp as governor based on what he has done before. They can only go out on faith that Abrams is going to be able to deliver on the promises that she made over the course of her campaign. That type of environment where the president's party tends to lose seats at the national level, where the president himself is underwater and Abrams happens to share a partisan identification with the president, all serve to give her a certain number of headwinds that she did not have in 2018, where she was a member of the insurgent party and running in an environment where the president of the opposite party was unpopular and where Republicans were actually losing seats at the federal level. Stacey Abrams as slightly trailing the number of votes that she got in 2018. She may catch up once we figure out, where the rest of the outstanding votes are from the state. Once we've counted all the provisional and overseas votes, that she's probably performing at about the same rate that she did before, maybe slightly below. And so what that suggests is that Brian Kemp was able to grow his base and to get more people to turn out to vote for him. I think we also have to think about some of the important but intangible things about whether or not Black women candidates are held to a different standard and perhaps judged more harshly, and whether or not that actually affected votes. But I think a lot of what we see here is people were not that dissatisfied with Brian Kemp, and they were comfortable with his leadership, and they were willing to give him another 4 years. And that's especially true during a time where Democrats are not necessarily the most popular. Georgia Democrats are more competitive now in this state than they were a decade before, but that doesn't mean that they're still not the underdog. And so by that, I mean, we don't have party registration. We can look at survey data and other things to try to determine who's a Democrat and who's a Republican. There probably are still more Republicans in the state than there are Democrats. It's just that the size of the Democratic population in the state is growing. And in certain types of elections where you have a deeply flawed candidate or where you have a highly competitive race in an environment that might actually favor Democrats, Democrats can be in a position where they are actually able to beat Republican candidates. The difference between the Abrams-Kemp race versus the Walker-Warnock race is that, one, Raphael Warnock has some incumbency advantage. So, he was duly elected in 2021. He served a year and a half in that office. So people have gotten to see how he performs as a U.S. Senator. Herschel Walker, in contrast, has absolutely no political experience. He made interview gaps where he didn't necessarily indicate that he had a strong grasp of the issues, though he got better at being able to use talking points towards the end of the campaign cycle. And he was dogged by lots of really troubling personal allegations about domestic violence, about having procured abortions for previous partners, despite the fact that he states that he's pro-life, the lies that he has been caught in. So there were lots of problems with the Walker candidacy that weakened him relative to the other Republican candidates who were running in the state. So the combination of Warnock holding the seat plus running against a weak candidate made put him in a stronger position to be able to contend for the seat. The fact that Herschel Walker has done so well, I think, is a reflection of the number of Republicans who are in the state, particularly Republicans who want their party to obtain control of the Senate.